Hey folks, it's Patriot Nurse. Thanks for joining me today. In this segment, we're going to discuss a forgotten prep, and that is your eyes and your eye health. Sounds kind of boring, right? All my high-speed operators out there are like, yeah, whatever, it's Patriot Nurse. Eyes, please. But let me tell you, friends, if you spend a lot of time behind a pair of iron sights, for instance, or conversely, if you spend a lot of time behind screens and digital devices, you're going to want your eyes to work. And it seems to be that people think that when the time comes and the iron sights need to get used, that their eyes are just going to work for them, despite the fact that they spend hours and hours in front of a screen every day and maybe have not the best diet. So what I want to discuss with us today are some supplements and some general practices that we can implement that's going to help give us an advantage and help our eyes work when they need to. As someone who has spent an awful lot of time, definitely behind a spotting scope and also behind iron sights as well, your eyes have got to work for you if you're going to make your hits. And also if you're going to be able to call win, if you're going to be able to, for instance, do the job that a spotter needs to be able to do, your eyes have to be able to work. You have to be able to focus, and you really want every advantage in your court. So I want to go over 3 things that I have for you that can help you no matter what. It doesn't matter whether or not you're anticipating needing iron sights or a spotter, or for instance, if you've got a family history of things like cataracts or glaucoma, or you really just wish that your eyesight maybe had a little bit better support. We're going to talk about some things here. So the first is bilberry extract. Now, this you can get this at Walmart. And in my opinion, this is ironically one of the better supplements out there on the market because it has bilberry, blueberry, and lutein as well, sourced from organic marigolds. Now, bilberry itself is pretty interesting, and it has a rather storied history of being used by, I think it was the British pilots were using it to help assist with night vision support. And bilberry, if you actually read the source literature about bilberry, it does indeed seem to have protective and supportive benefits for night vision specifically, which has to deal with like the rods and the cones in your eyes, different types of cells, basically. Now, actually, there are other things that you can do to help your night vision. And as far as like basically not subjecting your eyes to harsh UV rays during the day, wearing sunglasses, things like that to protect your eyes, especially sunglasses that have UV protection and aren't just basically colored lenses. There are other things that you can do, dietarily speaking, to help bilberry have a better effect in supporting the overall health of the eye. And that is whenever you take bilberry, to take it concurrently with a good source of beta carotene or vitamin A. Now, vitamin A can be found in your cruciferous vegetables, the beta carotene source, meaning the proto form of vitamin A. That's one of the reasons why I drink so much carrot juice. And the funny thing is that people will see my hands on screen. I think part of it's actually just because of the light, but I do drink a large amount of carrot juice. Quite a lot of carrot juice. And I love carrot juice, but one of the reasons why is that whenever I'm taking the bilberry extract to support my eyes and my eye health, I take it at the same time as I drink carrot juice to help give that added benefit. Now, the reason why I like this particular supplement, and I'm not normally the Walmart bandwagon fan by any means, but for whatever reason, this one of all the different ones that I have tried seems to me to have the most noticeable effects. Specifically, I can tell when I'm driving at night when I've kept this in my system and when I haven't. The lutein is also, lutein, there's lots of studies documenting the supportive and protective benefits of lutein consumption for your overall eye health. But bilberry paired together with the blueberry extract as well as the lutein from the marigolds, that's really the sweet spot for this one. Now, this is interesting. Okay, so this guy right here, this one, I'll put a link to this one actually in the description box below because you can get this one on Amazon pretty cheap. But this is the skin, hair, and nails formula. Not necessarily labeled for eyes, but let me show you this. When you flip this guy over, it's got vitamin C, zinc, and copper. Now, there are different formulas. Bausch & Lomb actually makes a specific patented formula that they use, which has large amounts of copper and zinc. It's the ARDS formula, ARDS. I have tried taking that one, and it makes me so sick every time. And it's because if you're sensitive, some people are sensitive to high levels of zinc. And the sweet spot for me, if I take 2 of these, it also could just be the source. You never know. But when I take 2 of these, the overall percentage, it has, let's see here, 15 milligrams of zinc, which is 136% of your daily value of zinc. Zinc is definitely important in maintaining eye health, but also zinc and vitamin E together, they're kind of synergistic in their effects. So you'll find this a lot actually with the vitamins and minerals, that they do better taken well together, kind of similar to how bilberry is with the beta carotene, the protovitamin A. You'll find that these different vitamins and minerals, they complement each other, and when they're taken in isolation, they just don't tend to be absorbed as effectively. So the zinc and the copper are really important, not only for obviously what they're labeled here for skin, hair, and nails, but also zinc is important to have in appropriate amounts for overall good skin, but also good immune system functioning as well, and eyes. So this is, for me, this is one of my favorite supplements, and some days I'll take them, as labeled. Sometimes I take a little less, some days I take a little more. It just depends. But the zinc has got to be in your system, and the copper for sure, in order for your eyes to function well. And again, I'll put this as the Solgar Skin, Hair, and Nails, and I'll put a link in the description box below. Funny, because a lot of the symptomatology for one of the latest viruses that's running around is also quite similar to zinc deficiency. That's the easiest way I can say it. If you can't put two and two together, I am so sorry that you missed Captain Obvious's clue. Okay, this next one here, this is the Professional Herbal Formula Eye Care Pro. Now, this is a Dr. Christopher's creation. The herbs that are in this one are different. This has bayberry, golden seal, red raspberry leaf, wildcrafted marshmallow, and eyebright, a really great herb. Eyebright, obviously, if you listen to the name, eyebright is one used to brighten the eyes. Now, this one I'll put a link to also on Amazon so that you can get a hold of this. This one I take as well. And like I said, it just depends. Some days I'll take all of them. Sometimes I'll take a little bit more, a little bit less. But this is kind of my general repertoire. Now, let me branch out here just for a moment and speak to something that may be worth your consideration. There is a principle by many, how shall I say this? There's some literature, some ancient historical Jewish literature from many different rabbis that note that sorrow and grief is correlated with a dimming of the eyes. It's actually, you find the biblical basis for this within the text of multiple Psalms in the book of Psalms and the Bible. My eyes have been dimmed with sorrow. This is in the early part of the Psalms. We find oftentimes, and we're learning more and more about this as the years go on, that different parts of the body seem to be disproportionately affected with different emotions when they occur in excess, and also with traumas that are unprocessed. And for people who have lost and who have dealt with more than their fair share of grief in life, it seems to be, at least from a historical, from a rabbinical, like a Jewish source, that these people tend to develop issues with the eyes. Not saying that they deserve it, God forbid, or not saying that just because you've gone through hard times in life or that you've dealt with grief that you are directly one-to-one correlated going to deal with this. But frankly, I'll tell you, from a nursing standpoint, it makes an incredible amount of sense to me, because as someone who has dealt with a tremendous amount of grief in my life and loss, not making me more special than anybody else, God forbid, but the strain that your eyes are on from crying, and the pressure on the eyes, and any tissue, any system of the body that is under that amount of strain and subsequent inflammation, you're going to notice variances in its functionality. So it makes sense to me also that when we're considering our eye health, that we also consider our heart and our soul health. And this is with anything really in the body. But there are actually Psalms that are recited particularly for the healing of the eye, and I'll try and link to that also in the description box below. But these are just some things that I wanted to cover with us, because eye health is so important, and unfortunately, this is something that people neglect until they start seeing, no pun intended, problems show up. And if we know that we have, for instance, a family history, or we know that, or we're sensing that there is a shift in the way that our eyes are operating, maybe you're not seeing so well at night, maybe it's harder to drive at night, maybe you just want to be preemptive about your health, maybe you're a professional shooter, or maybe you do a lot of shooting, maybe you do something, for your job that requires that you're behind a desk looking at a screen all day long, and you just want to take a little bit more action to support your health over all of your eyes, these may be some things that you can consider. So again, I will put links to these in the description box below, so that way you guys can check it out and see if it would be something that would be helpful for you. Thank you for joining me today. I hope it was helpful for y'all. If you did enjoy the video, I hope you'll subscribe to me here on YouTube. If you like the medical stuff and you want more of the medical stuff and the general medical preparedness, check out my course online. It's 4 hours. It's $129. And you can find this at thepatriotnurseacademy.com. You can review, stop as necessary, go back. There's a downloadable workbook, so that way you print it out at home, you work through it, and that way you've got something to help your mind wrap itself around everything that you've learned. And you have something in case, God forbid, the grid goes down and you need a quick reference in hard copy form. So again, you can find that at thepatriotnurseacademy.com. Definitely check it out, guys. And from just a forward-looking standpoint, with the way that things are going in this country and the way that they're talking about mandating certain interventions that involve a syringe and a needle in people's arm, you want to be as reasonably self-sufficient as possible. And the less that you can rely on institutionalized grid medicine, the better. A, because it's in your own best interest financially to not have to pay for all that if you don't need to. And then B, if you have the ability to care for your family members at home, you have more control by default over your circumstances. And why, if you think about it, why wouldn't you maneuver yourself into a more beneficial position? For $129, if that saves you one unnecessary trip to the doctor, you have paid for it. Basically, you paid for itself out of pocket. Or, I mean, when you consider what it is when you go and pay a copay at ER, a lot of people, if you have insurance, the copays are still crazy now. So it makes sense financially, it makes sense from a preparedness standpoint, and it makes sense just from a peace of mind standpoint. Invest in yourself, right? Because what you put in your mind and the transformations that you make as a person, no one can take that away from you. Stuff, God forbid, stuff burns up, stuff is lost, stuff is damaged. But what you invest in yourself, your mind and your knowledge, that can never be taken from you. I hope it was helpful for y'all. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. If you'd like to support me on Patreon and Subscribestar, cryptocurrency, I got links down there below. May the Lord bless and keep you all, and may you have a wonderful weekend. For now, it's Patriot Nurse signing off, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.